What is going on, guys? Lottery Stocks here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're new. Today, I want to start the video off by talking about the AMC failed to deliver data. We have been urging the SEC to give us a report on the FTD data, and we haven't waited longer for another report than this one, and we finally just got a report, but it's nothing like you'd expect. So before we jump right into the video, all I ask you guys to do is turn post notifications on for the channel. If you guys are subscribed, I just want you to hit that bell. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the FTD data, we did get a report, but it's for the second half of October. We have been waiting for the first half of October, and that is just non-existent. Absolutely non-existent. It went from September 28th to October 17th, which begs a couple questions, right? The first question being, where's September 29th? And before you say lottery stocks, that was a holiday. No, the market was trading. AMC traded 17 million in volume that day. And this is the exact date outlined where the FTD data has not been given to us, has not been reported to us. We saw a volume increase in the chart, not anything crazy, literally just price action coming up to about $11, but who knows how hard they tried to stump this thing. Whatever they're doing behind the scenes, they're getting extra time by the SEC to be able to flush things out. Now, I added something to the chart that we talked about with AMC from the cycle starting to when it peaks to when I'm purchasing calls and riding them out, get out of them. We added the curve, okay? And the curve is pretty interesting because it has the perfect touch points every single time on AMC's chart. You can see the peak back here back in June of 2021, touch point in September, as well as November of 2021, April 2022, and then you can see right here, touched it, broke out slightly, and then this would have hit the macro trend line if we had that drawn out still on the chart, as well as all of these touch points coming down. However, the bottom builds support on this curve. And what recently happened is we broke back beneath the curve. Now, what doubles up on being interesting is I didn't change the cycle that we had drawn out at all on AMC. The spike that I had drawn out would exactly come up and retest that curve. This isn't what I want to see. The fact that it's here and it's playing out this way is scary. I don't want to see this thing prolonged any longer, of course. But as of right now, as we speak, as we trade day in and day out, this is where AMC looks like it's going to come to, right? It matches perfectly with everything we have drawn out. Now, there are two scenarios that could play out that will invalidate this. One being Ethereum Classic, XRP, and the S&P 500, which are making me happy, correlating over to AMC, right? Ethereum Classic, XRP, all are entering their point of interest. You can see right here down at the bottom of the cycle. The last times it hit this were, of course, back in May, June of 2021 when AMC and Ethereum Classic ripped, as well as XRP, and then August of 2022 before APE was issued, right? Both nasty rips. We're entering that again. Same goes for XRP. These track very well and may bring AMC along for the ride depending on how bullish they get. You don't want to see them go bearish, and as of right now, crypto is looking good. On top of that, the S&P 500. Every single time AMC ran, the S&P 500 had a slight melt up for a short period of time before AMC followed slightly after. And we are going to talk about Ken Griffin and what that could look like for him in a few minutes. But we had another fund purchase, AMC, that was filed today. GSA Capital Partners bought 72,307 shares at $33.59. Most of these funds, most of these institutions want to get their money back and think they're going to get their money back, which means purchasing AMC at a fundamental value of $33 just shows over the short, medium, or long term that we are likely to surpass that level. Because guess what? There's not that large fee anymore for lending out your shares, right? There's no fee here. There's no monthly income or incentive for you to actually get shares unless you think the company is doing well. Also had another order imbalance of 170,000 shares on the buy side on AMC for yesterday. And according to Zacks, bears are losing control over AMC Entertainment. Here's why it's a buy now. Zacks gives a lot of consensus on a bunch of different tickers and is usually a decent read. AMC is near its all-time lows, and the article stating bears are losing control over AMC is a good title, but as of right now, it doesn't look like they're losing control because we can't even get the data for the first half of October, and that might piss some of you off as well as piss me off, but the media likes to be right, so I'm not going to take this as a bullish or bearish thing. I'm going to take it as neutral, but it is better than the usual articles that we get written on AMC. Touching on some numbers real quick, 1.1 million shares available to borrow on on AMC. 14,000 calls compared to 21,000 puts expiring in the money, and a lot of calls expiring out of the money compared to puts. Short exempt volume still pretty high, above 200,000 day in and day out. They are holding this thing down hard. Lottery stocks, the bottom is in on GameStop. Yeah, GameStop's doing well. It's up 3.8%, trading at $13.40. It's fighting this next resistance level. Nothing has showed me that GameStop's bottom is in yet until it invalidates and breaks over 1460. At that point, I will take my loss on my puts. But as of right now, I think GameStop is going to come down even further. It's just showing some sympathy strength with the market. Touching on some GameStop numbers, 150,000 shares available to borrow. Call to put ratio, 8,000 compared to 13,000 puts expiring in the money, and 70,000 calls out of the money compared to 12,000 puts out of the money. And GameStop rises a little, and they double up on short exempts. They are not ready to let this thing go. Now, Citadel CEO Ken Griffin says the Fed risks a hit to its reputation if it cuts rates too quickly. Now, you know, cutting rates will cause the SPY to scale up even higher, and maybe Ken Griffin's portfolio isn't situated enough, and that may trigger margin calls. What do you guys think about this in the comments down below? Now, before we do get into the S&P 500, if you guys want up to 16 free stocks, use my link, sign up for Moomoo. It's in the top of the description. Once you sign up and make a deposit, you will start earning benefits from there. On top of that, great platform to use. That gives you free level 2 order book data, access to trading options, going long, going short, and more. Just think about this, right? Let's say you sign up and deposit $100. You're getting free stocks. Let's say you sell those stocks. You have $100 plus whatever the value of those stocks are, and then you just sit on it, and that earns 5.1% APY. You literally have to do nothing. It takes 2 minutes out of your day, and there's no reason not to do so. Also, guys, pop in the Discord. The link is right under the video and pinned in the top comments. I'm in there on the daily, so you can talk stocks with me and 500 around of the most amazing people. And we have options trading alerts. We post gains, post losses. I posted a video on Rivian stock yesterday, so go watch that if you do care about Rivian stock. Finally, October PPI inflation falls to 1.3%, below expectations of 1.9. Core PPI fell to 2.4, below expectations of 2.7. So this is the first drop of PPI inflation in 4 months. So PPI and CPI are back on the decline. Is the Fed on track for a soft landing? Well, it's perfect timing to talk about the S&P 500. Continuously ripping, trading at 450.83. I want to talk about the previous September-October cycle because we called this one out perfectly. From the bottom, the SPY didn't get any sort of retracement until around 12 to 13%, and when it did, it was only about a 3% retracement on the S&P 500 before continuing to rip. So anyone who thinks, you know, it's gonna hit this top and come down hard back to retest those 409 or 415, unlikely to happen unless there is some sort of catalyst like a government shutdown, which then would only be temporary. Anyway, the same exact percentage gains between 12 and 13%, so 12.5, would bring the SPY exactly up to that all-time high at 460. Here's what I think is going to happen. Finally getting some red on the day, but is building support at that 449 level. Got rejected at this 451 level. Right back here, you can see the resistance on this level. Got smacked at the top of this trend line. SPY broke out, came and got rejected there, at least for right now. However, did you guys notice that there is an old gap that never got filled at about 455.60 on the S&P 500? I think at least over the next week or so, or 7 trading days, the S&P 500 comes up and over 455.60, or at least tests that level to fill the gap. Think that happens, and if and when that does happen, we're likely to get another top at 460 before rejecting and coming lower. After coming lower, I would watch for a retracement down to 440. However, there are gap fills to the downside at 431 and 423.30, so be aware of those on the S&P 500. Some additional stuff to close out the video. Michael Burry has closed his $1.6 billion S&P 500 and NASDAQ short position for an estimated loss of 40%. And speaking of Michael Burry, he just shorted the entire semiconductor. What do you guys think about this? Are you now bearish on semiconductors? Does this scare you at all? Just because he lost one trade doesn't mean that you go against the grain here, but it also doesn't mean that you follow this guy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, IMF Managing Director says central bank digital currency CBDC can replace cash. Since we are on the topic of banks, Bank of America will need an extra full netting account at the DTCC the same day MBS margin requirements will increase. Is it because Bank of America needs to spin rehypothecating faster to stay afloat? Overall, guys, that is what I got for you for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching or found value out of the video. Make sure to check the links, hit the like button, have post notifications on. I love you all. Lottery Stocks out.